worry. You got time. I believe in you. You just work it out. Take a deep breath, and on go, you just go.
Okay. When do I have to take the breath?
Crap. We'll get there. Don't worry. Okay. So while you focus on that, hello everybody and welcome back to the announcement.
I had a feeling.
Actually, no, not back. First time.
Yes, welcome to the first iteration of the Double Dib Draft Season 6 Pearl Division recap. I am your host, Spood, coach of the Southtown Sand Slashers. Joining me tonight
is Cabral, coach of the Hatchlinging Age Slasher.
Sorry, I'm a little tired. It's a little past my bedtime, but we're going to make it work. Sleepy little guy. We've got 4 high-octane matches for all of you lovely folks at home this week out of the Pearl Division. Mm-hmm. A lot of hype stuff going on. We were expecting there to be more delays than there ended up being, so thankfully we got everything sorted out and we got all the matches played relatively quickly. I think they still bled over a bit.
Yeah.
But it was exciting, man. What did you think? I mean, did you have your eye on anything going in?
There were a lot more 6-0 matches than I thought there would be for the first set of matches this season, by the way. Can I just say?
Yeah.
But they were really fun to watch.
Yeah. It was exciting. I mean, a lot of stuff that I did not expect. This was a big week. We had, I think, for me, the 2 big ones, or actually, honestly, pretty much every match except for one to me. Well, no, you know what? All 4 matches were really hype. I take it back because you know what? Well, I'll lay out the sort of storyline as we hit them. But I guess let's just start where it starts, right?
Yeah.
We've got Aurora, coach of the Hoensbroek Hunters, versus Vincent, coach of the Heerlen Hawluchas. Shout outs to the Netherlands. Aurora and Vincent, IRL friends, both hailing from southern Netherlands.
Be sure to leave their address, by the way, in the video, as well as their mailing address.
Yeah, somewhere between Hoensbroek and Heerlen, presumably.
Yeah, I assume so. By the way, just old-time players, really talented players, and this match shows that. This is a very just good through-and-through match, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
And it really just shows their knowledge and expertise when you have 2 people at this high level. And I think it's exciting when you get these higher end level players fighting each other first. It's fun to watch. And we have some stuff later I thoroughly love as well. We got a couple of new players doing their first matches ever, and I look forward to watching those here in just a bit. But this match is really fun to watch.
Well, why don't you give the viewers the shakedown? Like, who is Aurora and who is Vincent?
Well, I mean, Aurora is the coach of. Well, we've been over this.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, well, let me paint a picture for you then.
Uh-huh.
Aurora is a former champion of the Double Dip Draft.
Oh, that kind of picture you want to paint.
Yes, that is the picture I want to paint. Aurora is a former champion. Vincent has never quite scraped it. However, they have kind of an ongoing rivalry. They did end up playing in the Draft League NL World Championship Qualification Tour, where Vincent defeated Aurora. And that was the most recent interaction they had. They've played, I think, once or twice, or maybe never. I don't know. It's hard to say because I know that Aurora and Vincent were planning on getting to playoffs the last couple of seasons to fight each other, but it kind of just kept not working out. One or both of them would take a loss here or fumble there, and
I believe
they
just both went to playoffs last season. But no, wait, did Vincent not make it?
Vincent made it to playoffs, but not round 2. He lost to Claire
because they're both. These 2 frequently make playoffs, usually round 1 for sure, but then by round 2, it's a matter of who's left over.
Yeah, right. It's been hard for both of them to land round 2, and it's interesting because Vincent has been so strong even from day 1 when he dropped into the league in season 3. But he's really just been like a contender for that spot. And last season, he went undefeated until week 7 of division, lost to Scoops, and then immediately lost his round 1 playoff to Claire.
Yep.
So he's got a lot to prove, and he's got kind of a fire burning. Whereas Aurora has been, I wouldn't say on the back foot necessarily, but hasn't been putting up the literal like stellar results that she's hoping for. She had a very similar season to Vincent's last season in season 4, where she went undefeated, lost week 7, and then lost round 1 playoff. So they both kind of have that fire lit under their ass that's like, okay, I actually need to really get it in gear and get to the top. And since they're the top 2 seeds of this whole division, they're the 2 best players, having a round 1, like a week 1 match, it's kind of bananas. So there's a lot riding on this one.
Yeah, one of the things about it too, speaking of fires, the teams that they had brought are, I think, really well balanced for fighting each other. I think it could go either way. Lando is just insane. Muck actually does a lot for Aurora here.
Yeah, there's a lot of special attack on Vincent's team. Muck really likes to eat it up. I mean, it's not a ton of special attack, but just between like Moltres and Lantern, like these very important kind of bulky pivots, having Muck to kind of just soak them up is really important. Vincent, we've been over it during the draft analysis, but Zamazenta is just such an oppressive force, and a lot of his draft is kind of made with the intent to shore up its weaknesses. That's what kind of Moltres exists to do. Yeah. So if anyone could find a way around that core, I think it would be Aurora.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that being said, do we want to get on started here?
Let's have it.
Alrighty then. Battle starting
so
with
Miltank. I love the Miltank lead. So Scrappy blocks Intimidate, and then Aurora's like, I need to get the fuck out of here because I'm not trying to get an Ice Punch.
Yep, and there's the Ice Punch, and doing some decent damage to Mommy over there.
It was good damage to Mommy. Yeah, the Life Orb, it was probably calc to one-shot, at least some Landorus variants. It's also base 100 speed, so I'm kind of, I think at that point Vincent has essentially scouted for the Scarf and seen that its U-turn is faster.
Yeah. Running Burn Up, probably to not take as much damage from rocks, I imagine, on Moltres. I'm not too sure because it comes in.
No.
I mean, like, rock attack.
Yeah. Yeah, rock attack. Maybe. I mean, Burn Up is just powerful. IDM runs it. It's kind of an all-purpose thing.
Yeah.
And this is actually very interesting. If you look at the calc for this is a Fizz Def Zamazenta. He doubled down on the physical bulk, because if it was just like a regular HP, it would have come out of that with like, to 10, 20, maybe 30%.
Yeah.
But it came out like 44 or something.
Yeah. And probably for the best, because Lando and Infernape do so much physical damage.
Yeah. And at this point, Vincent's very much caught on to the Scarf.
Yeah. By the way, 49% only on Stone Edge is insane on Zeraora.
Yeah. Very interested in the Salic Berry. I think that's a cool set. I'm sure it is for something.
I'm a little biased. I kind of like the Salic Berry set.
I'll tell you what it was. You are a Salic Berry fiend.
Yeah. I become a Salic Berry fiend after one time of using it.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Firebolt and Drapion, name a more iconic duo.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Gunk Shot Miss.
Gunk Shot Miss. Probably not the end of the world, but it's always nice getting any little damage off on something.
Speaking of getting damage off, that crit pursuit was really bad for Aurora.
Yeah.
Put her super in range of that crunch.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, Aurora's on a back foot.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, this thing crushes, especially since now Aurora's seen, like, it's a Fizz Dev Zamazenta. Mm-hmm. The special set that she's running on Infernape is really, really threatening to Vincent. Yeah. She just needs, like, chip on Moltres, basically. Mm-hmm. And you can even see this here, like, she can pretty confidently switch it on this, because Behemoth Bash, I mean, it's really hard to break Zamazenta, but he doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah.
And this Focus Blast would have been such a nasty roll. 53, and then the leftovers damage, it's just like, don't want to risk the miss, don't want to risk a low roll, like, you might as well get the hell out of there. I think that was definitely smart of Aurora.
Yeah, it definitely was. Hyper Voice coming in and just killing that.
Yep. Reaping the Zamazenta.
Yeah, Pixelate is insane. I enjoyed Sylveon last season when I had it.
Sylveon's very strong, actually. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, at that point, yeah, it kind of served its purpose.
Exactly. At that point, it had, and the goal is to safely get in Infernape, because it does so much work here, and if done right, Aurora can still bring this back with just Infernape.
Yeah, so that Flamethrower crit put Aurora right back in it, because that was the same deal as the Pursuit crit from Vincent earlier. It put her right on the same playing field.
Yeah. Not running a grass move.
I think she's probably running a grass move, but I think that was just kind of the mid-ground play, was like, I hit Zamazenta, if he tries to switch it in, take like 4%.
Yeah.
And I can still
that miss sucks.
That miss sucks. It's actually still doable if she doesn't miss twice in a row.
And she misses twice in a row.
Then she does. Which really sucks. You kind of hate to see two Titans go at it round one because you're going to be shaking off the rust anyway, either way. But then this was just a match marred on both sides, but obviously more in Vincent's favor by the end by RNG shenanigans. You know, Aurora got that important flamethrower crit, you know, Vincent got that important pursuit crit, and then just dodging the 2 focus blasts in a row when Aurora had like very much like a win con in just focus blast Infernape. You know, she just had to hit 2 in a row, basically, or 2 ever, you know, without missing 2 in a row. She had to never miss 2 in a row, and then she did.
Yeah, really just unfortunate. But first win goes to Totally Not Spookman for his first week with a 2-0, which is pretty respectable for a first week match, I'd say.
And don't let me get down on Vincent. He totally earned it. I mean, he played really good.
Oh, yeah.
They both played super smart. I really like watching the high-level play, and I don't think either of them really showed all that much rust, if I'm being honest. I thought they both brought strong teams.
Yeah.
I thought they both played into win cons really smartly. It's just kind of, you know, when the universe is against having the better player win, then you kind of just get this scrambled mess of like, well, it's kind of hard to tell who the better player was, but, you know, Vincent wins, so, you know, he gets to be the better player. And congrats to him, man. I am looking forward to another season of Absolute Terror out of our friend Spoopman Vincent.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see how things shake up here in the Pearl Division. But speaking of the rest of the Pearl Division, let's go ahead and check on our next match between Firebolt of the Minnesota Magikarps and White Loaf of the Loafville Lanturns.
Incredible. I mean, so do you want to introduce this one, or do you want me to
these
set the
two
stage
are
again?
also old-time players, and they had previous pretty good seasons. Not just the last one, the one for Nick, but like early season stuff from my understanding, because I wasn't there for that. They're both really good players, playoff contestants, and also like Firebolt has upset IDM as well.
Yeah, these are both players that are respectfully, and I love both of these people. I would lay down my life for both of you fine gentlemen. They're both in a bit of a slump right now. Firebolt has, you know, they're both playoff contenders. You know, Nick in his first couple of seasons was really, really scary. He did relatively well in SSL. But then coming into Double Dip, like starting around season 3, he just started having a lot of dud seasons in a row, and then he sat out last season. And he's just come back to play after having taken that break. Firebolt never took the break, but last season was his worst season of all time, placing 1-6 in his division. Basically just getting shit stomped by everything. You know, it just the draft kind of didn't work out, the mental wasn't there, you know, it just really wasn't pretty. So both of these are great players. I would argue roughly the same skill level, and they've both, you know, they're both really jonesing for a good early win, because it's you know, off the last season for both of these guys that they played, it wasn't pretty.
And their team makeup here is pretty good. Honestly, Rillaboom does a lot of damage here, I feel like, too. Gastrodon especially, Tapu Fini, it can hurt a little bit. Watch for Aerodactyl, though, and Shell Smash Blastoise is insane.
Yeah, Shell Smash Blastoise, always crazy.
Even
you know,
Jinx
I know
here actually could be a little threatening if left unchecked.
Oh yeah, you know, played correctly. Firebolt's team is kind of chunky. You can see, like, you know, between Blissey, Gastrodon, some failing sets can be very, very defensive. It's really, this is a war of terrain, you know, so it's going to be kind of a higher concept match where Nick really wants his grassy terrain on Rillaboom so he can just spam grassy glides and kill everything, whereas Firebolt really wants to keep his psychic terrain to mostly prevent Nick from doing that.
Yeah, one of the things I'm seeing here is it looks like we might have a couple of answers to Roserade over there, being Jinx and Marowak Alola. Which
Yeah.
might be a little scary.
It is definitely a little scary. I mean, you know, Nick has to do some good positioning. You know, he has to play his terrain correctly. He doesn't want to sack Rillaboom into Lele while Lele's alive, or into something where Lele can get terrain back up. He doesn't want to lose, like, he needs to, like, activate Quick Feet on Jolteon so he can outrun, you know, non-Dragon Dance Aerodactyl. You know, there's a lot of position, like, depending on the Marowak set, you know, getting it in fast enough, maybe flame charging or you know, spreading, like, paralysis from Jolteon, or there's, like, a lot of field play that needs to be done, especially on Nick's side, to kind of navigate this matchup.
Self Smash with Ice Beam is actually a pretty decent option, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, it's good. The problem, I guess, is that Gastrodon will still basically wall it every time.
That's
so
true.
you need to make sure that Rillaboom, again,
Takes it
it's
out.
about positioning, right? You need Rillaboom to kill Gastrodon before Shell Smash Blastoise can start killing everything, and then obviously, you need to find a way in on Gastrodon. But Rillaboom is so powerful in this matchup. If only Rillaboom doesn't get stuck in front of something, that hard walls it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and see how this match played out here.
Mm-hmm.
Staying in for that Psychic and knocking off. Let's go.
Yeah, so Nick was expecting presumably the Lele to switch out because it would be scared of like a Shadow Bone or something. Instead, Firebolt stays in and just slaps the shit out of him, and then immediately, Psychics into Psyshock's Jinx and kills it.
Yep.
Which does put Nick on a back foot quite quickly, just because one of his better checks to like Roserade Aerodactyl is gone.
Yep. Even failing because it gets Psychic attacks too.
Oh yeah. This Marowak set is also super interesting, by the way. It pain splits up. Again, Firebolt way too playing like very fast and loose, almost to a fault. Where he could have just like a Flare Blitz would have done so much to Blissey. I know he wasn't necessarily scared of it because it was so low HP. I guess he was willing to take that trade.
Yep.
And then Nick at this point is, I guess, over predicting Firebolt's under prediction and then dies, or I couldn't tell you exactly how it works, but tell me what you see is gone now.
Kind of see the two things that kind of counter Roserade over there.
Yeah, Roserade is scared of ice and fire, and not as scared of water, rock, water, grass, and electric.
Well, Ice Beam Shell Smash can still do quite a bit if Nick's able to get it up, but with Dragon Dance, oh, there it goes.
Yep. That Stealth Rock is also insanely manly. I think, the last match didn't have a lot of rust. I think this match made up for it in spades, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's, again, not a slight on either of these players because they're both very good. But I just think that there's a lot of questionable play that I think, like, on Firebolt's end, he's playing unnecessarily aggressive, which, I mean, it does pay out in this matchup because you'll see as we get into the end game, Roserade just kind of doesn't ever die. Spoiler alert.
Doesn't. Surprised Nick didn't go back into Rillaboom for another U-turn to do some more damage.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think Roserade can outspeed Rillaboom, so he's kind of just scared of, like, coming in and taking a Sludge Bomb from, like, a fast Roserade.
That could be the case, yeah.
I don't know. Basically, the Firebolt's MO for this game was, like, I'm just gonna make these really aggressive plays. Like, I will leave my Lele in on this, potential Shadow Bone, and then takes a knockoff relatively well. Stuff like that, and it kind of works, and it scrambles Whiteloaf, who's kind of trying to overpredict, and he's not playing safely enough. He's not going for enough like mid-ground plays, and also missing the ice. Not having Ice Beam on this set really killed him there.
Yeah, definitely did. He could have done a little more with the Blastoise setup like that.
Yeah. But I really think this is a kind of a masterclass in the merit of safe play. To be like, well, maybe I should go for like hitting the obvious switch and read, but sometimes the guy you're in front of is just not scared of you. Mm-hmm. Either by mistake or just because they're down to read your read. I cannot stress the importance of doing mid grounds like Aurora's, high jump kick instead of like a grass type move on Lantern.
Yeah,
didn't necessarily work out, but the logic, like that rationale was very clear, and I think if applied to this fight, would have made it better for Nick. And also, just again, if the matchup was a little more favorable, but he just let his, checks to Roserade die and then lost to Roserade. I mean, it's kind of that simple.
Yeah, for sure. Putting Firebolt at a victory here with a 5-0, which is a pretty good start to the season.
Damn, yeah. I mean, it's almost like a 6-0.
Yeah, it almost is a 6-0. And speaking of 6-0s, though, we got to get to our next match.
Well, the next match is GTP Woody. You introduced the last one, so I get to do this one.
Oh, no! By the way, spoiler.
We got
I didn't realize my transition was a spoiler.
We got GTP Woody, coach of the Schaumburg Salamences, versus Mass, coach of the Minneapolis Magnezones. I got it.
There's a lot of M names. Don't worry, you got this.
The Magnezones.
Yeah. How many M teams are there? Martian, Minneapolis,
we got
Minnesota.
Minnesota Jinx, Minnesota Magikarps,
Maryland.
Maryland, that's true.
So 5 so far. Martian.
Yeah, there's more. I mean, if you count like retired teams, there's like Minneapolis Marinis and so that's pretty much it. I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to think about it more. Who are these players?
Well, Mass is a fairly newcomer, having his second season last season, having his first season when I first started playing as well, coming off really well from last season. A playoff contender, didn't make it to playoffs, but he basically was a match away from getting into. We've been over that in the analysis and everything, and talked about all that stuff. And Woody being a longtime veteran of Double Dip, if I'm not incorrect there. I think he's been around for a long time, right?
He's been around since SSL Season 1. Yeah,
wow.
He's been around as long as IDM and Scoots and me. You know,
so Woody's just been here a long time and carries a lot of experience, I imagine.
Anyway, Mass...
I'll probably cut that out.
So, it's... we love Woody.
We love Woody.
Woody has not been known to... Dude, this is so hard.
Woody comes in and
struggles.
He enjoys playing the game. He loves his Pokemon. There are staples on Woody's team. He absolutely adores Caparaj and Hippowdon. Always brings them. And he got Mega Charizard this year. And honestly, looking at Woody's team, he's got quite a bit of bulk going on, which is not bad, but there's a bit of a problem. I don't know if you see it right now. It's actually kind of hiding over here in the back.
Kind of squished under Celesteela, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Woody's team doesn't handle water particularly well. I mean, Porygon can, because it's just very thick, and generally water will be special. So, you know, Eviolite, I mean, like, Porygon can handle both, but, you know, like, sort of the archetypical, like, monotype normal Eviolite sponge, you know? It just kind of eats everything up, and it's rough for Woody. He needs to make some seismic changes to his game plan generally, just because you know, it kind of hasn't been working out. He's had quite a few rough seasons in a row. I think at this point, you know, if you're Mass and you get Woody week 1, you're like, okay, this is my opportunity to kind of like warm up, get my head in the game. You know, if I make a couple of flubs, it's not as bad as if I flub versus someone like Aurora or IDM or whatever. But at the same time, you know, like Woody gets a few.
He does.
You know, like you can't come into your match with Woody half asleep, because you'll lose.
Yeah. By the way, last season Woody, that Hurricane and Sun, loved it. I cannot believe he hit that. That was stunning.
Yeah, it did 99% to that Torkoal.
It absolutely did 99% to that Torkoal. Literally insane. Loved it.
Basically, your game plan versus Woody, in my opinion, is just, it's got to be like, keep it simple, stupid. You know, just play the game, you know, have a win con, understand like how you're forcing the progression of the game. Mm-hmm. Don't overthink it, but you know, respect it enough, right?
Yeah. It's one of the things in a lot of games, I mean, overthinking.
Yeah, this is the best draft that Woody's ever had, in my opinion, and there is some real cohesion with Trick Room. You know, that Camerupt can be scary, God forbid. You know, Caparaj can be really scary.
Yep.
Hippo can be relatively scary in or out of Trick Room. You know, Kangaskhan is actually a really solid pickup, and obviously Megazard Y is scared of rocks, which he does not appear to have any good hazard control for on this team.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, it is a workable team. For Mass, you know, again, speaking of having a fire lit under your ass, you know, Mass missing out on playoffs to you last season, I'm sure has rattled him deeply to his core. And I know he's going to want to pick up the wins where he can find them. So, Did Mass choke it?
I mean, we'll have to watch and find out. I'm sure everyone watched and already knows, though.
Hey, well, let's see.
They saw all the stats and things.
Did they see the stats? They'll see the stats at the end of the video, unless they, you know.
Both rock sets going up. Just a safe, good call going for knockoff, getting rid of the lefties. Just making sure that you can't get too much recovery. Woody going for a classic, just rocks and roaring set.
Yeah, this Hippo, I mean, it's... The funny thing about this Hippo is that it's basically the same Hippo every week, and it's also the same Hippo every season. Same nickname, you know, same gender, color, same fucking moveset, probably same EVs.
Woody's
This
gotta watch
hippo
out
is
for a track.
unchanging and unflinching. This hippo has been the same since 2019.
Yeah. Woody's got to watch out for a track sometime. Someone's going to use it.
That'd be so gangster, yeah, if you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But the roar set is always the same. It's Rocks, Roar, Slack Off, and Earthquake. Which means if you're Mass, and you are Mass, because, I don't know, we're addressing this video specifically to Mass, I guess.
Hello, Mass.
If you're Mass, you understand that you only have to worry about getting roared, and your Celesteela is immune to all damage.
Yeah. One of the issues is Mass doesn't do enough to really take it out. Eventually he will. He's doing quite a bit of damage, but it's just a little bit of an annoying set what he's got going. And it's doing good to just keep things shuffling around for Mass to kind of get his feet firmly planted.
Yeah. I mean, the Roar strat does genuinely work. I think it would pan out better for Woody if he had, like, a spike setter or something, too.
Yeah.
But, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step,
Yeah, and that single step is walking to an actual 1,000 miles, actually.
True. So it's all about, like, just finding little chip, smart of Mass. He's going to, again, try to force some progression by knocking this Porygon.
By the way, Trick Room set.
Yeah, it's a Trick Room set. So, and that's scary if you're Mass, because suddenly, again, Hippowdon, Copperajah, Camerupt are all so much scarier now.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing Eviolite really does suck, though, for Woody. Kangaskhan coming back in and just taking a Spore to the face. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart of Woody because he's just trying to, give something to go to sleep to activate Sleep Claws. But of course, that does burn the last of his Trick Room turns.
And that brings in a great opportunity for Vaporeon to come in on a Heat Crash. Copperajah does get Power Whip, but switching out there, most likely, Woody is not running Power Whip at that point. Mastering with an Aqua Ring to gain double back HP from leftovers and Aqua Ring.
Yeah.
Acid Armor, take any additional physical hits because Vaporeon is especially bulky. Rain Dance to get rid of any sort of issues. And herein
hydration.
starts the issues.
So, if you've been around for a while, you may recognize this set. We call it the Cabral set because it was kind of a Cabral staple last season. This Vaporeon runs Hydration as opposed to Water Absorb, runs its own not that impressive Rain Dance, and all it really does is sit on things and click surf 100,000 times.
Yep, because that's all you need with the rain damage boost and Porygon not getting Water Absorb.
That's right. If you run Hydration, suddenly Porygon cannot hard wall you, especially with no Eviolite, which, Mass has already knocked the Eviolite off.
Yep.
So suddenly, this thing is really tough for Woody to deal with.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything that gets any attacks that hit it. Thunder would have been great on Porygon, as well as Thunderbolt, but not running it.
Still wouldn't have done a ton, yeah. I mean, it's non-stab. It's going to be, relatively bulky, not that, like, offensively powerful from a Porygon 2.
Yep.
So, like, Thunderbolt would force some progression, maybe, but not enough to outpace the Aqua Ring and,
what
leftovers.
could potentially outpace things is throwing up Toxic like that, switching into Hippowdon to prevent rain from starting up.
That's true.
Just like
and actually,
this.
he does it right here, where, he's gotten the Toxic, and then suddenly he's gotten Toxic and Sand. He has to force a second Rain Dance, and there's only 8 Rain Dances, right?
Yes, there are only 8 Rain Dances, so had Woody played around that a little bit, might have been able to knock out the Vaporeon. I don't think Woody could have pulled back a win from this point, but definitely
salvaged some differential.
Some differential. Yeah.
But that is genuinely, that's tough. It's very high concept to play around weather like that, especially when your Hippowdon is so low and it's going to die to a Surf basically at any HP.
Yeah.
Obviously Woody couldn't do it because I think most great players couldn't do it either, right?
Yeah, it's rough to do and predict, and this Vaporeon set's just so hard. If you do not have an answer for this Vaporeon, it will do this to you and likely win because you struggle. Acid Armor is like people sure Vaporeon takes physical hits and it doesn't really deal with them too well, but throw on Acid Armor a couple of times, your special defense and HP are stupid high. You don't need any special attack investment because it's already insane.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's kind of the same deal as Roserade last game, It's when you just have a thing that your opponent can't kill, eventually you win.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. And that's just what Mass ran into. So he stole my Vaporeon set, and he won with it, giving Vaporeon a 6-0, and I believe it is currently the kill leader in the Double Dip Draft League right now.
As of week 1, yeah, it is the kill leader. It's gotten 6 kills. Nothing else has come out and gotten all 6 kills in a game. And obviously, given that it got 6 kills and nothing on Mass's team died, Mass concludes with a nasty little 6-0.
Yeah, and 41 turns is a little long, but it's not the longest we've seen.
Not the longest we've seen. Hey, what would take a long time, do you think?
To get to this next match we got going on here between Doodled and Lynn, both brand new players. Doodled, of course, coaching the Jobbin Wobbuffets, and Lynn coaching the Pinkan Persians. They are brand new this season to Double Dip, and they have a really fun team lineup. We've talked about them in the analysis videos. Doodled having Dragapult is insane, along with Clefable, Mandibus, and Rotom Wash is a solid team, like through and through. The defenses that you get with Clefable and Mandibuzz, one being dark, one being fairy, really, I think, balances out well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's important to have, it's not necessarily, you don't need bulk per se, but having immunities is really good.
Yes.
Clefable is all around just fantastic on any team, fantastic on any draft. Mandibuzz is just really good. It's, again, like slow, bulky pivot. Immune to Prankster, it has Defog, it's got Foul Play, it's kind of like Umbreon, kind of like, I don't know, Landorus, it's a little bit of a lot of things at the same time. And Mandibuzz does really, really good. Lynn's team, on the other hand, is a total fucking, what am I looking at? It's a grab bag of all Pokemon from all tiers. That doesn't make it less threatening, for the record, but it is just kind of like, it's hilarious to see this, because Doodle basically looks like he's playing OU, and it's like Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and he's got Marini. Whereas Lynn is basically like, I'm going to grab like a Pokemon from every tier. And like, just see what happens. Yep. And again, to Lynn's credit, like Regieleki, very threatening to this whole team, minus Donphan, which obviously hard walls it.
Yep.
Dugong can do relatively well. Yeah. Nidoqueen can threaten out if it's Scarf or like just depending on the moveset. Braviary, don't sleep on Braviary. We've seen even Skittles do like huge work with Braviary before.
Yeah.
Decidueye and Rapidash we haven't seen as much of, but they're both, they've got their niche, and I think here especially like having something that can like Shadow Sneak or do decently well versus like Dragapult and have good speed tiers versus like Mandibuzz and Clefable. Like Lynn's got answers to what Doodle's got for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's their first season. They don't have any previous records. I know Doodle has like played around a little bit with some Pokemon stuff, and Lynn is Fireball's girlfriend, so I imagine something's rubbed off.
Oh yeah, I mean there's yeah.
You okay?
Basically, yeah, no, I'm fine. Just ignore that. Basically, okay. I would say that, yeah, they've both kind of received training through osmosis, but neither of them have gotten a chance to really flex their own muscle in the Double Dip environment before. So this was like a total wild card match. I like, really, this is the match that sets the stage for the rest of your season, right? Like, how strong do you look out the gate if you're Doodled or if you're Lynn? And honestly, I don't think there's much else to say about it. We just got to see, right? We're going into this match basically not knowing anything about their playstyle or understanding that, like, beyond just having a little bit of experience, like a little baby bit of experience each, it's kind of just on their merit, and I guess a little bit on their luck because this is Pokemon.
100%. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started here. With Lynn starting off with Regieleki and Doodle starting out Rotom Wash, which is fairly safe overall, being able to Volt Switch out unless Nidoqueen starts. But
yeah. Now, Rotom Wash does take a ton of damage from Regieleki, just because, like, even though it's neutral damage from Electric, it still does take a lot. That Ice Shard does very little damage, but,
yeah,
it's all right.
Wondering how Stonehenge would have held up, actually, with Donphan there.
We would have done a little more, but I wouldn't want to get into that habit.
That's fair.
This is so greedy from Lynn, by the way. Holy shit, this bulk up is crazy. Bulking up in front of this thing, I mean, even behind the light screen, it's pretty threatening.
Yeah, roosting, landing. Then switching out because, of course, we get Infiltrator here.
That's right. She's showing some awareness of Dragapult and the way it threatens. I think she actually may have lived the Thunderbolt, maybe. I'd have to calc it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too certain either. By the way, Doodle doing so much switching, volt switching and U-turning. Just a lot of pivots going on here for Doodle.
You could be forgiven for thinking that Doodle is not a brand new player, given how aggressively he volt turns. I mean, he seems to really get the concept of momentum, especially given, he's got the hazards up, she doesn't. And he's really making her work for it. Also, this is really funny. At 9%, this thing actually might live Ice Shard. I forgot to calc it, but thick, fat, quad resist, non-stab, 40 base power.
Not 100% certain on that one. It probably does, but insane.
I would imagine the Doodle calced it, and if he saw that it would have killed, he probably would have gone for it.
Yeah, most likely. Marini, though, having not being able to do too much to this, but Dugong as well, not being able to do too much back to Marini.
Yeah.
Volt switch
Dugong actually takes the volt switch remarkably well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dugong generally does put up quite a fight.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think people kind of sleep on some of the first gen Pokemon because they got some insane stuff going on. Great predict, by the way, with Levitate coming in. Hydro Pump just killing.
Yep. Smart. I think Lynn may have been trying to make a read there, but, Doodle kept it simple and prevailed with the Hydro Pump.
Yeah.
The thing about Gen 1 Pokemon is it's kind of easy to overlook them given how insane the power creep has been since, in like the last 20 years.
Yeah, and the move variety.
Yeah, and the move variety and stuff. And they get like a little bit of love in sometimes, but things like Dugong are just like so forgotten by Game Freak that, you might pass them over on team building, but they got a niche, man.
They do. There's definitely a use for them and win cons with them as well overall. Also, Lynn does not have any answers left to Mandibuzz, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I think that Braviary maybe could have done a little more work, but it's difficult versus foul play. And
yeah. I wonder if you turning there into Rotom Wash would have been a bit more ideal from Mandibuzz.
Yeah, Rotom Wash is Scarf, as evidenced by like the attempt to trick. And you see just a lot of like full switching around, but this Dugong, it's very keen on living.
The trick never got off, did it?
No, it failed on sub in front of Braviary.
Surprised Doodle didn't try to trick the Dugong.
That's true. Again, I think that's maybe a little high concept for people who are just now learning.
That's fair, actually, yeah.
Getting into it. But yeah, I mean, in hindsight, if your Volt Switch can't break it, it might be worth considering, tricking it a Scarf.
Yeah, because Dugong cannot do too much if it can't just rest and attack.
Yeah, and rest assured, it does do quite well.
Yeah. Oh, crazy freeze right there, by the way.
Yeah, big freeze. And actually, Dugong almost puts in a huge amount of work right here.
Yeah, 3%.
Big crit, leaves it alive at 3, but then Doodle, again, he's just popping recovers 24/7 behind that freeze, which is the right call. And suddenly, you might want to zoom out on this and be like, hey, wait a second. Dugong can't break Marini. Doodle's having a hard time getting through Dugong.
Yeah.
So what happens next?
Well, the answer is we go past that 44 turns in the previous match. And we keep going.
And we keep going, and we keep going, and we keep going.
Run in.
I actually do think it's good awareness from Lynn. She's playing the Dugong incredibly well.
Oh, absolutely.
She's trying to get the good freeze. I think that's absolutely the right call.
Yeah.
And Doodle also, making sure to knock off the leftovers to keep it, from just passively healing. Like at this point, it would be, I think, beneficial to find a way to get in Rotom and just start Volt switching. But the thing is, if Volt switch is his only move, Rest is only a 2 turn, so it's like Rotom comes in hard, forced to Volt switch out, and then it wakes up. And unless you could kill it in 2 shots, we've seen it takes like about half from a Volt switch.
Yeah. By the way,
it's just kind of hard.
Does Trick work on Pokemon without items?
Yeah, it does.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
So he could have tricked this thing a Scarf at any point, but
got it.
Again, I just don't think it was necessarily something that was floating around in his head.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. I just wanted to double check that because I thought that was the case, but I want to confirm it. What better time to confirm than
True. I mean, if you were really like trying to needle down into it, you could say that maybe, you know, he fears the trick going on to Braviary, where the Scarf actually might see some use.
Potentially. What's Braviary running? Bravebird says to bulk up and roost?
I mean, Scarf Bravebird makes it faster than Dragapult, because Dragapult's shown that it can use multiple moves, so it's not Scarf.
Yeah, it does at that point.
But again, I'm not saying that, you know, that's something you have to run calcs for. I actually don't think that's the case. I'm just saying that, you know, there's a potential that there's like a layer of strategy that we're kind of blind to as spectators after the fact, that they were both keyed into in the moment.
That's fair.
Like, there's a lot of stuff like that where, you know, even if you have the full context as like a spectator, it's kind of complicated. But now we're actually finally seeing some progression where the Dugong has gotten a special attack drop off of Moonblast,
yep.
And it's suddenly its Surfs and Ice Beams are quite worse.
Yeah. At this point, Lin cannot keep up. Even switching out to attack and keep up the special attack on Dugong is probably not worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, if you have nothing to lose, you might as well just go for it, right? Like, hey, force me to PP stall, right?
Yeah.
You know, you play to the hypothetical win con, or maybe Doodle, like, starts to throw, or makes a wrong move, or maybe you get a really lucky crit, or... I don't know. I mean, there's still ways that Lin can come out of this, so I appreciate that she didn't just give up.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, at this point, it is really, really tough to break through the rest of this team.
Yeah.
Doodle really just needs like a safe switch in, and he's really working hard to preserve his differential.
Yeah. And there goes Dugong. Rest in peace.
Very nice.
Extinct now.
Extinct now. That's true. It's actually quite sad. Lin's Dugong was probably the last one.
Oh, it was the last one. Doodle killed the last one.
Wow. Way to go, Doodle.
Oh, Doodle.
Yeah. At this point, you know, Mandibuzz is just so strong. I mean, you'll see it just kind of eat up this next hit at +2.
Yeah.
Of course, since Foul Play takes... Yeah, God. Of course, since Foul Play takes the opponent's attacking stat at +2.
Yeah.
It does too much damage. And Doodled again in an effort to preserve his differential.
Yeah.
Goes right on into Marini.
And that's his first one. I think both players played really well for their first season and their first match.
Yeah, totally. I think, I mean, Lin mentally, I'm sure, was kind of... I'm sure they were both kind of exhausted by the end of that fight. You know, when you get into that end game where it's like really stally and you're kind of, you know, playing the long game, playing for chip and just kind of little pebbles of damage, it can be really stressful and it can be really exhausting. And I know Doodle was really scared of like the bulk up Braviary maybe getting some action.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, he had like a Dragapult that could outspeed and hit it through, you know, sub and screen with Infiltrator Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
You know, he had Scarf Rotom still, could Volt Switch out freely. You know, he, like you said earlier, you know, he could have tricked Scarf onto Dugong. He could have maybe run like Scald on Marine. I don't know. It's complicated, right? Like there's a bunch of hypotheticals, but it ended up genuinely, I think, despite it being a 6-0, I think Lin did put up a really solid fight, and I think given the opportunity versus a team that's maybe a little less just OU pivot heavy, you know, something that's a little less like oppressively difficult to build against. It's again kind of a high concept thing if you're like really new to Pokemon. I think Lin could genuinely perform quite well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I'm very excited to see what they do with the rest of their season. Week 2 is coming up, and I think that's going to be really cool to just watch and see what the players do. I'm excited to see Lin in another fight because I believe the next week is Lin versus Firebolt, actually.
That's true, which is hilarious. It's a lover's quarrel, a tip.
Yep, and they're in the same building and they can't help each other prep for matches.
That's true. That's very true. Well, why don't you show me the rankings and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I will show you the rankings.
You will show me the rankings, and you've got them loaded up right now because you're really putting it all together. I absolutely
have them loaded up right now.
Wow.
They are accurate. Okay, that's what I was worried about, actually, is the accuracy.
Well, you give me the top half, and I'll do the bottom half.
All right, sounds good. Well, taking us up to the top is Mass of the Minneapolis Magnezones going a 1-0 with his win and +6 differential. Same for Doodle that we just watched, going 1-0 and +6. Fireball closely behind and 1-0 and +5. And Jason, hold on, and Vincent, haven't made that mistake in years. And Vincent going 1-0 at a +2.
On the bottom side of bracket, it is leading up the pack, Aurora of the Hoensbroek Hunters at 0-1 and -2. We've got the Loafville Lanturns, that's White Loaf, at 0-1 and -5. And then you've got Woody and Lynn of the Schaumburg Salamences and Pinkan Persians, respectively, at 0-1 and -6.
Yes.
This division quickly turning insanely lopsided.
Very much so. I feel like a couple of our divisions have done that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think some of them have a little bit more of a tight distribution in the middle, but this one is, like mine. This one is very much just like a holy shit 2 6-0s and a 5-0. And then, obviously Aurora and Vincent having a really tight match. Aurora, I'm sure, will not be staying in the red for very long. Mm-hmm. Likewise, I would expect that you'll see either Mass or Doodled drop down. I mean, you'll definitely see one of them drop down because they play each other this upcoming week.
They do. That's going to be an exciting match, actually.
It's going to mean a lot for the ranking, too. It's going to really shuffle things up. So I would expect that this ranking changes quite a bit by the next time you hear from us.
Yeah, most likely. But that'll have to wrap it up for this one. You guys will have to go check out the companion videos, look at Diamond Division as well as Platinum Division, because there were some exciting matches that happened this week, including our own.
You don't have to watch Platinum Division.
No, you can watch Platinum Division. I think there's some exciting things in there.
You don't have to watch Platinum Division. I don't want to worry about that.
Okay, that's fair. Either way, thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to more Double Dip Draft soon. I have been your host, Cabral.
And I have been Spoon.
Yeah, and we will see you all next time. Take care and enjoy the season.
Peace and love on the planet Earth.
Yeah, cell phone.